Good afternoon, Cock. We are doing our League 2 predictions for the 25-26 season. We've already done League 1 to some mixed reviews, if we put it kindly. Probably Rotherham and Wickham, the two that people were heavily against, but eventually my fruits will come to harvest, or whatever the saying is. It's League 2 time. We've got relegated, survival scrap, mid-tablers, outsiders playoffs, and the automatic. So it will go right to left. For example, if Accrington Stanley and Barnet are to finish in the bottom two, right to left would mean Accrington Stanley 24th and Barnet 23rd. And I'm actually not going to move one of these teams, because Accrington Stanley, I have got finishing dead last in 24th. Finished 21st last season on 50 points, and that were down to half decent form towards end. Other than that, they were down scrapping all the way through. Obviously, the budget is one at lowest. Even for League 2, Accrington Stanley have got minimal finances compared to other sides in it, even ones that are down at bottom normally. And the transfers are very, very uninspiring for a side that is going to be scrapping for the life all the way through. They've kept all the best players so far. They've not lost Ben Woods, who is comfortably the best player from outside looking in. Top goal scorer from Middle at Park. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get a League 1 move for, circa about 200 grand. I could see some League 1 sides going in for it. But the only incoming so far at the time of me recording this are two players from Kings Lynn and Curzon Ashton. We're not getting a lot of experience in there. They're both 23 as well, so it's not like they're going for some young up-and-coming, like 18-year-olds, for example. I know 23 is still like fairly young, but from someone who's over ill now at 25, that's knocking on 23. There's no real excitement coming into this. I feel like crowd's going to be very, very flat as well, knowing the inevitable relegation battle they're going to come up against. And like I said, I don't really think they've lost anything of note, but they've also not brought anything in for a side that's going to definitely be down scrapping at bottom. With two sides coming up, the inevitable always happens in non-league, where the two sides that get promoted from National League are in and around top half most of the time, at least mid-table. None of them have gone down for a while, and you can expect that with Barnet and Oldham as well. So Accrington Stanley are one of the weakest of the sides that have left from League 2 last season that didn't get relegated. None of the teams coming down from League 1 I think will be anywhere near this. Standout players still there, but probably quite likely to leave, and incoming's very uninspiring. I have got Accrington Stanley dead last and getting relegated. And joining them in 23rd and getting relegated as well, I have got Newport. Now, they finished third bottom last season. Accrington Stanley and Newport both finished third and fourth bottom, and are the two weakest sides coming into it that survived last season. But where Accrington Stanley at least had a little bit of something towards the end of the season that you could almost give them as a reason for being higher up, Newport finished season absolutely horrifically. One win in the last 12 games, and 8 losses. The goals completely dried up, and defensively they're not that good anyway. The better players probably are the defenders, like Matthew Baker being one of them, who's only 22. I could see him maybe getting a move with Winder getting closer to ending. Obviously that McLaughlin, the other defenders, left as well on a free. So it's two of the best players that I could see not being there by the time this is done, this transfer window. Incomings again, I'm just not sold. I'm really not sold. I'm just looking for a little bit of excitement a lot of time. And I do think it is hard to call League 2 from anywhere from about 12th to bottom at league. It is very, very tough to get a grip on teams that make 9 changes to the starting 11 every season. It is tough to have a gauge on where you think they're going to be. But when the best players have left or probably are going to leave, again, with the two coming up, Barnet and Oldham, I think will be well clear of this. I just think you're in trouble. So the two that I've got going down are Accrington Stanley and last, and Newport. Moving up into third bottom, but surviving in this survival scrap marginally, I have got Cheltenham. 15th last season, and they were well clear of it, in fairness. They were 18 points clear of Carlisle. They had 60 points, so they were well away from danger. But I do think, again, with the consistent revolving door and the amount of players that Cheltenham have lost, that does scare me a little bit. I do think they have strengthened defensively. Like Robbie Cundy coming in from Notts County, I actually think he's alright. He was at Barnsley before. I do think he's a half-decent League 2 centre-half. So I think that's a good pick-up from Notts County. The thing is with Cheltenham, A, the football is horrendous to watch, and B, they are relying on one man to do quite a lot of heavy lifting going forward in Jordan Thomas, who's got a 250 grand release clause, and yours truly are coming to try and steal him. Tell me if I'm wrong, Cheltenham fans, but I would say Jordan Thomas is comfortably the best player. They've got some half decent ones as well, like Stubbs, that defender looks alright a lot of time, and that Luke Young at middle. They have got some half decent bits here and there. But when your top goal scorer outside of Jordan Thomas is George Miller, who is arguably the worst footballer to ever put a Barnsley top on. Obviously, there's Ethan Archer as well, another decent player. But the odd bits of quality that they've got are going forward a lot of time, and do look very likely to leave, apart from George Miller, who's crap. I'm worried for him. I think they'll lose a lot of points that were won by odd couple players last season, and I would take 10 off them realistically coming from 60. But I do think the bottom two being quite weak is what saves them here. So I would have Cheltenham surviving just but third bottom. And joining them, I have got Barrow. 16th last season. Again, in same sort of realm as Cheltenham, really. 59 points, just one less. Better goal difference, though, by a mile. Same thing here, and it does apply to the majority of sides that just can't hold the best players down. But Dean Campbell's gone to Northampton. Keane Spencer's gone to Rotherham. Robbie Gotts has gone to Donny. Probably three of the better players. That Emil Aqua's gone to Dundee, who was the top goal scorer last season, and he only got 6. And then Keane Spencer with the other one with 5. Both gone. Severe lack of goals. And they've replaced it with Raheem Harper at Port Vale, who once looked like he was going to be summer, but his career has seriously just gone down pan. And they've brought a striker in from Kilmarnock called Ince Cameron, who I've got absolutely no opinion on because I've never seen him in my life. With Tyler Walker as well from Lincoln, that's okay. I think a lot I've got Accrington Stanley last, but I think Barrow would be in a lot of people's relegation too here. Goals completely dried up. Lost a majority of better players that were scoring your goals as well. They're asking a lot of the players coming in at top end of pitch to hit ground running really, or they're going to be in trouble straight away from word go. But I do think they will survive marginally in this survival scrap, so I have got them finishing 21st. 20th, still in this clan, I've got Harrogate, who finished 18th last season, a little bit closer towards drop than the other two in front of them, Barrow and Cheltenham. But again, 53 points is half decent. You would stay up with that more or less every single season ever. But goal difference, horrendous. Very, very poor from last season. That Ellis Taylor does look like the best player from outside looking in. That Anthony O'Connor, some of the defenders are quite good as well. But going forward, again, similar to Barrow, they're not offering a lot outside the odd couple of players. Josh Marsh got 9 and Ellis Taylor from Middle of Park got 7. And then you're down to 3 with Jasper Moon as centre half. But while they stay up Harrogate, it's fantastic. This is the most non-league setup of all time. And I know a lot in League 2 and even some in League 1 now are historically non-league sides that have just got really good backing from their owners. But Harrogate are doing really good to consistently stay up, comfortably as well. And I do think it'll probably be same sort of thing here. I could imagine them getting around 50 points. But the bottom two and some of the other sides in and around this clan are all going to be in and around the same sort of points anyway, apart from the bottom two is what I meant to say, sorry. I like the incoming of Mason Bennett from Burton. That's going to add a little bit more going forward. He's only 28 as well. They're going to want a free from Burton. It's a good signing, that. Lewis Cass from Grimsby's alright. Halifax are effectively a feeder club to Harrogate, so anything half decent they get. That Jack Evans being the latest one. But it's quite tough to place a lot of these sides. And I just think history repeats itself with Harrogate being in and around this sort of group but staying up. So that's what I'm going to say again. Harrogate in 20th. But I have got 2 more in survival scrap. 19th, I have got Crewe. And 18th, where I've got Bromley. Now, these both finished much further up table last season than this position warrants. Bromley finished 11th. And Crewe finished 13th, so way away from the 18th and 19th that I've got them in this season. But when you actually look at last season and the teams that massively underperformed, you're looking at MK Dons, who were 19th, Gillingham in 17th. Obviously, the two that's going to come up as well, Tranmere, who were 20th. I think they've made some very good signings. I think naturally I'm going to take the weaker sides from further up table and plop them down a little bit. Crewe first, who finished 13th last season, but I've now got finishing 19th. Best player is, and literally has been for years, that Demetriou, the defender. He is constantly the best performer. He's always been very good. I'm surprised no one's ever took a punt on him properly. Or maybe he just don't want to leave. But he is a good player, him. Jack Lancaster got 7, the striker. But again, their incomings are not most exciting I've ever seen. That Tesgale from Stoke is a good signing, to be fair. And I think they will score more goals because of that. But defensively, apart from that Demetriou, I'm not completely sold on him. And this is a side in Crewe as well that were up in and around playoffs and even autos in and around December period, the festive period. They were proper up there. But naturally, the position did come to where they should have been because they fell off quite a bit, didn't they, towards end and ended up finishing in 13th. Like, they had 1 win in 12 games toward end, you know what I mean? And maybe it is just players sort of take your foot off gas once you know you're away from it and you can't get in. But that mentality is quite poisonous. And I just think there's stronger teams in this league now, and I would have Crewe slightly further down than what they finished last season. But that Tesgale from Stoke is a good signing. If he can hit ground running, we could have another Nathan Lowe on his hands here, and Crewe could be up right at top really early. And then Bromley, who finished 11th last season, they have got Michael Cheek, who is comfortably one of the best strikers in this division. I do just think, regardless of the fact that he spent 99% of his career in non-league, strikers that know where net is just score goals anywhere. I do truly think that if you play to the strengths, I think the one thing that I would say is Macaulay Langstaff, who scored for fun for Notts County, went to Millwall, a completely contrasting style of football that he was playing at Notts County. If you pick a team that still sort of plays to your strength further up pyramid, you will score goals consistently. And I think Michael Cheek could do a job way further up pyramid, despite his age and lack of experience in Football League. If you put him in rate team that play to his strengths, he's going to score goals for fun. And don't get me wrong, I still think he will score goals. He got 25 last season. My worry for Bromley is the lack of goals from other positions. Because after that, you drop into Ben Thompson, old Millwall boy, who's got 6 from middle of park. So if Michael Cheekin's scoring goals, there's not many other people that are for him, and that's why I've got him further down. Just purely that and nothing else. Just the fact that they're one injury away from being much further down the table and probably scared for their lives. But I still think they'll be fine. Comfortably, I've got him in 18th there. But moving up the table, we will go into the mid-tablers now. 17th, I've got Tranmere. 16th, newcomers Oldham. And then I'll put one more in for now and talk about them 3. 15th, I've got Notts County. Tranmere first, 20th last season. And again, I know a lot of teams are like this anyway, but you've got 2 goal scorers and that's it. And it's Amari Patrick from Middle at Park who got 11, and then Dennis who got 9. After that, you're going down to 4. It's not enough goals from different areas up pitch to warrant being much further up. But the one signing that they've brought in that is immediately sold me, because originally when I was doing this, I've had these lists wrote for like a couple of weeks and I've been changing them as stuff's happened before, right up until the day of recording effectively. And I've had Tranmere seriously flirting with Newport, as in I'm seriously worried about him. But bringing in Richie Smallwood, immediately 5 places higher at least. I'm very surprised that a League One side took a punt on him with the experience that he's got. I am so surprised that he did not just make the move across Yorkshire to Donny. I really, really thought that was going to happen. Once it was common knowledge that he weren't going to stay at Bradford, I'm so surprised he didn't just stay in League One with another newcomer, or Port Vale, someone like that. But the fact that Tranmere have got him, exquisite business. Charlie Whittaker on a free from Notts County, another free effectively. Nathan Smith, centre half from Port Vale, is good. Not really lost anybody that I'm that bothered about, but the squad were crap last year, so they didn't really have anybody worth worrying about, do you know what I mean? But the Richie Smallwood thing alone has pushed them up for me, so I've got Tranmere in 17th. Oldham, newcomers, obviously promoted through playoffs last season. A lot of people have got them much further down than I have, but I wouldn't take them seriously as a top 7 playoff contender, personally, because of the players that they have lost. But I'm also having them nowhere near this. I think they'll be more than fine, Oldham. Lads coming in, I am seriously quite impressed with. They've nicked a couple from Tranmere. Obviously, bringing in Ryan Woods from Exeter is a big, big standout at Middle at Park. A lot of experience, which is what you need. Example to right of them, Tranmere. Bringing in someone like Richie Smallwood or Ryan Woods, players that have got a lot of experience now and a lot of quality. It does no wrong, something like that, especially in your first season up. Oldham are a big club for this league. They won it biggest easily. I don't think they've got any worry about fellow League 2 sides coming and maybe taking some of the best players that they actually want to keep. For example, James Norwood is one that's gone to Fleetwood. And I don't think that is a miss from Oldham's perspective, I do. Because he will score goals, whether it's off bench or not, he will get you some goals. Look at playoff finals as an example. No one else on that pitch would have scored that goal but him. Absolute quality. But if they didn't fancy keeping him, that's up to them, innit? I do think it's a wrong decision, but if they didn't want him, that's fine. The real loss for Oldham in terms of the team that they had last season in comparison to this is Jorgen Iffen, who they had on loan from Barnsley, who did look just head and shoulders above everybody on pitch every time he played. He is only 19 as well, and he will get a lot of minutes for Barnsley. He's been heavily involved in pre-season so far. Urian clearly trusts him, so I doubt he'll be going out on loan. I do think if he were to go out on loan, he will be coming back to Oldham, regardless of the fact that he could get a League One. But I think it's clear that he's going to stay in and around Barnsley set up this season. So that is a miss for him. But I do think they'll be fine. Maybe goals not as frequent with Norwood going, which I do think he's a bit daft. Norwood and Jorgen Iffen both going. Then that's a lot of the creative spark and goal threat gone. But Oldham will be fine. They'll be dandy. Whereas Notts County absolutely will not. Like, playoff losers last season, they lost to Wimbledon without really laying much of a glove on them that much. Obviously, once McGoldrick got injured and he couldn't play the second leg, it was more or less done. Like, Jetta got a red card, and then McGoldrick were injured. It were over second leg. They had no chance. The incomings are quite good. Like, I like Barry Cotter from us. I really do. I think he will take the piss in League 2 for the most part. I really do. Oliver Norburn from Blackpool on a free is good business. Obviously, they've brought some young'un in from Huddersfield. I do fairly like the incomings, but the outs is something that you just cannot ignore. The best player in League 2 last season was David McGoldrick. He's a Notts County fan, and they've tried skimping out on his wages, just thinking loyalty will prevail and he will stay anyway. And he don't like the manager, does he? I think it's quite common knowledge. But you've lost best player in the league, who were only there because he supported you. He had no business being in League 2. From the friendlies so far at Barnsley, and we've only got him because he's mates with Urian, I do think he would have gone somewhere else. Maybe to another top-end League 1 side. Seriously, I think he could have done a job in Championship still. He is fine wine like I've never seen before. He is such quality. It's oozing out of him. He's so, so good. I cannot believe the decision that Notts County have gone with there. But they will slide down table because of it. Definitely. Jatta, it's still up in air whether Jatta's going to be there. League One sides are obviously going to be looking with him, the amount he scored last season. But goals are going to have dried up. The ability to just score from anything at any time is almost gone with McGoldrick. I do think they will fall down the table quite a lot and not even be really that close to any sort of playoff picture. Unless Macaulay Longstaff comes in, then who knows. But I doubt he'd go to League Two if he is to go out on loan from Millwall. But yeah, Notts County have got sliding that table into 15th. Moving on up, 14th, Swindon. And then 13th, we'll stick that on here while I'm here. I have got Fleetwood. 12th and 14th last season. I've got them 13th and 14th this time. So not much change, despite there being quite a lot of change, especially at Swindon. They've effectively let full club go. So many players have gone. There's so many incomings. And I do like some of them, like Billy Bowden from Burton. I don't mind at all. Tom Nichols, experienced. Quite an old man now, but on a free from Mansfield, you can't complain. Couple of lads from Leeds and Wolves as young and who I've not got loads of opinion on. Same as a Villa, Loney, Finley, Munro. I've not got lots to say about them. But I do trust Ian Holloway to get it right. And I do think getting it right is being mid-table this season. There's not a whole lot of quality within that Swindon team. I do think the biggest asset is Holloway. And I do think they would seriously be happy. All things considered, I would take this if I were a Swindon fan. There's a lot of change. Who knows what some of these players are going to be like. There's a lot of free hits, really, with some kids coming in from these academies. But it's a lot of weight on young shoulders with the amount of youngers that they have brought in. They have matched it equally with the experience, but there's not a lot of quality within this squad. And I think 14th, where I've got him, is more than fair. As for Fleetwood, now I've got him in 13th. And a lot of the other predictions that I've seen for League Two so far, there's not that many. But a lot of people have got Fleetwood much, much higher than this. A lot of them are in and around playoff picture. Some I've seen that are higher. And I'm not for the life of me understanding why. Their incomings are good. I'm going to say it right now. I think their incomings are great. Denver Hume from Grimsby on a free. That is serious intent to offer that much money to a fullback to pry him away from another same sort of similar position team in Grimsby in this league. But Norwood and Ched Evans on threes. You're getting goals. You're not going to get full 90s out of them, but you're going to get goals, that's for sure. Toby Mullicky, who they've bought from Crawley, centre-half, is great business. I like all the signings, but they've lost the two best players and most important players. From outside looking in anyway, I think they've lost the two best players. Phoenix Patterson, quite diverse in how he can play from the little bits that I've seen of Fleetwood. I'm not going to sit here and say that I watch him every week, but from the bits that I've seen and the things that people say, can do an half-decent job in final third, hence why Stephen Inge come and bought the boy. So he's going to be a big miss. But the biggest one by a mile, Brendan Wirridu has gone for 250 grand roughly to Plymouth. Easily the best player, I would say, from outside looking in. Big leader. Obviously, he's been there way too long. I was surprised that he even lasted a season in League Two. I did think he'd have come back to League One straight away. It's a very good pickup for Plymouth for not a lot of money at all, really. And I do think it'll be a big miss for Fleetwood. So despite their incomings being quite good, I do think their outgoings outweigh it. So I've just got them in and about the same position they were last season because of it. I don't think they've improved. I would say they're more or less smacked out middle in terms of quality that they've got. And that warrants a mid-table finish, I would say. I just don't understand why people have got a much, much higher despite losing some of the best players. But anyway, moving on into 12th and into the outsiders I've got for next season. We've got us first of the relegated sides in Shrewsbury. I'm actually going to fill this column up now because there's a lot of teams in here that I've seen much higher that I completely disagree with. Colchester in 11th. I've got Barnet in 10th. Salford in 9th. And then I'm going to leave it there for now and we'll come back to the last one in a sec. Shrewsbury first. Appleton as a manager is crap. Can we all agree on that? Before we get anywhere further, let's just agree that the gaffer is horrendous. Truly some of the worst football I've ever seen in my entire life. And I will count for you the last games before the season ended and tell you the results. So from February onwards, draw, loss, 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 draw, loss, 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 draw, loss, loss, draw, loss, loss, win 2-1 away at Barnsley, and then a loss to Crawley at last game. These are crap. Some of the very limited quality that they had is gone. Aaron Pierre, despite his age, was one of the best players, and he's gone to Eastleigh. I can't quite believe that. But Jordan Shipley's gone to Port Vale as well. Some of their incomings are quite good. Sam Clucas, Sam Stubbs as well. Scully from Pompey. Their incomings are half decent, but I still think they're a strike away from challenging right near top of this league. And obviously the coach is absolutely dog shit in Appleton. So that warrants a 12th place finish for me. Colchester in 11th next. They finished 10th last season, so I've got them down one position. And there were only 3 points of gain in there. But I don't think they are a playoff side as of right now. And I don't think they will be either with the players that they're likely to lose. Their incomings are okay. Like Will Goodwin on loan from Oxford I do quite like. And they've not lost anybody as of right now. But Tavid is someone that offers quite a lot for him going forward. Very diverse, can play really anywhere across front three. Even though he starts quite centrally, he does come out wide quite a bit. I know a fair bit because Barnsley are interested in him again. But he does look quite likely to go to MK Dons despite interest from us. But he is a very good forward for this division. Offers quite a lot. He's quite a brute, isn't he? I really like him from the bits that I've seen of him. And he's still here for now, so, like, why am I saying this? But he does look very likely to leave, so that's going to be a big miss. Jack Payne is still there, though, despite that, who is probably the best player from last season, and best player that they've got in general. I just don't think they've got enough going forward, or they won't have enough going forward by the time Tavida's gone. So that, for me, is why I've got him in 11th. Barnet coming up in 10th. I have not seen one game from him in years. Not one game. I know very little about him. I am just simply going off previous history, which is anytime a title winner comes up from non-league, they're always in and around, what, top 10, top 12? That's it. So they're going in there. Moving on, Salford in 9th. Ended season quite mix and match. They were drawing quite a lot of games, but they only lost one in like the last 10-ish games, something like that. Obviously finished just outside in 8th, and I've got them on the same sort of vibe again, but in 9th. They were 1 point of getting in there, and I believe they lost on last day, which meant that Chesterfield got in. And they're always very busy, aren't they? With the money that they've got behind them, they're always extremely busy, Salford. But the best player last season, undoubtedly, was Stefan Negru on loan from Oxford, a centre-half, who, again, I would like him at Barnsley. They've let a lot of players go. Non-ridiculous losses. Curtis Till is another one of the best defenders, a centre-half, who's 33 and he's gone to Bradford. It's quite a good move for him at that age. But that's a lot of experience and leadership that's gone. And another one of probably the better players, that Minoga, is constantly linked when moves up table, the right back. So if they do sell him, they will get a fee for him. And they're really good at selling players, Salford, where a lot of the other smaller sides in this division aren't. They've got a lot of future interesting players, aren't they, with sell-ons and stuff like that. So it is consistent money coming in that they can probably strengthen. And they do score a fair few goals from different areas at pitch. Cole Stockton got 16. Hakib Adulakun got 13. And Kelly and Mai got 9. So they've got decent goals from across board there. Same as almost always with Salford. He's just not enough, and I've got him in 9th. And then just missing out on playoffs, I have got Gillingham. From outside looking into this division, right, because I don't watch loads of League 2, but there's always been something around Gillingham since this takeover, and there's been a couple of years now. There's always been this sort of like, oh, Gillingham are going to be up there, and I've never seen why. Like, I've seen them finish 17th, and from the bits that I saw, which is just purely highlights, they did look crap. I'm not sure. I think I've been gaslit here into putting in mind than what I actually think, because they've not really strengthened in many positions to warrant being much higher anyway. Like, they've let a fair few players go for a side that finished 17th, let me just say it again. And they've brought Sam Vokes in from Wickham, who, again, despite his age at 35, that is a good sign on a free transfer. They've bought some kid, another striker from Bristol City's kids, and then they've got Andy Smith on a free from Hull, or a very small fee even from Hull, another centre-half. But is that warranting being where they are? Probably not. I do honestly think I've been gaslit into putting in mind than what I actually think. But Gillingham are a side that I've got 8th. Now, moving into the playoffs, I have got a repeat of last year in Walsall. I think people are getting way out around putting them much further down the table than the team probably does warrant. And a lot of the best players last season were very reliant on loans. For example, Nathan Lowe, who got recalled, and Alfie Chang, who were at Birmingham and are on loan here as well. Other than that, Ryan Sturt's gone to Chesterfield, which is quite a loss. But they have got a decent fee for the centre-half, Okagbu, who's gone to Peterborough. I cannot believe that he's got that move, because I didn't even think he was going for Walsall. Taylor Allen's gone to Wickham as well. They have been ripped to shreds, in fairness. But a lot of their incomings, I do seriously like. Aidan Flint on a free from Mansfield. Again, 36. Age don't mean anything to a lot of these fellas. Is a kicky, editor-to-away defender. Is exactly what you need for League 2. I really like it. Vincent Harper on a free from Exeter. Again, AF decent. Aaron Presley from Stevenage. I like Walsall's chances here. I really do. I think they did quite a good account of themselves in playoffs, despite absolutely falling off a cliff from probably one of the most embarrassing fall-offs in history in football. The pull-away that they had at one point and the gap that were from them to, well, even 4th. You could say they were about 15 points clear of 4th place, and they ended up finishing in playoffs, which seriously takes some doing. But they got ripped to bits in January as well with the Nathan Lowe bit. And despite the real low morale that must have been there, that dressing room must have been horrible to be in. I thought they'd get a really good account of themselves in playoffs against a side that were coming in on decent form in Chesterfield, and they put them to bed quite comfy. So I was impressed with Walsall, really, and I think the mentality side of things looks quite strong within that group to have turned it around and got to Wembley in first place. Even though they did lose, I still think they get a good account of themselves. They are undoubtedly weaker, which is why I've got them 7th and not like towards the top end of this playoffs challenger for autos. But I do think they're strong enough to get in there still, so Walsall are in there. Moving into 6th and 5th, I'll do that as well. I've got Grimsby, and they will be playing Crawley. Now let's look at Grimsby first. They finished 9th last season, and they were, again, 1 win off getting into playoffs, so we're not a million miles off here. I'm not taking someone from near bottom and putting them at top. You just wait for these title winners. But Grimsby, I think, look in better nick than what they did last season. They've lost Denver Hume to Fleetwood, which is a loss. Regardless of what any bitter Grimsby fan will tell you, that is a loss for this division. But they have brought in Jaden Sweeney from Leyton Orient, which is a good signing. Chrissy Prim, keeper from Mansfield. Fantastic on a free, that. Jamie Walker from Bradford. Sam Lavelle from Carlisle, who's been relegated to non-league. And some young'un from Blackburn. They've not lost anybody else apart from Denver Hume that I'm bothered about personally. I like that business. Very good. Maybe it's my personal liking for Grimsby and desperation to go there. Probably first person to ever say that. But I'm liking him. I'm liking him. Come on, Grimsby. Go on, boys. I'm rooting for him this season, honestly. But they are playing Crawley, who are another one of the relegation lads from last season. They have been ripped to shreds again. It happens every 6 months, but they have been absolutely torn a new arsehole, and everybody has been sold or gone from underneath Lindsay's feet. There's nothing he can do effectively. But they got him promoted in first place, which nobody had him doing. Even any League 2 experts out there, not one person on this planet had Crawley getting promoted 2 years ago. Last season, at time of him leaving and going to MK Dons, he had him outside at bottom 4. Despite getting promoted, and again, selling everyone, they are very reliant on Liam Lindsay to just work some magic and somehow keep overperforming, which he were doing. I do think if the season had gone on for another couple of weeks, Crawley could have got out of there, despite being out for quite a long time when Liam Lindsay left, to then, once he'd gone, they slumped right to bottom of the league, and then when he come in again, they made quite a good account of themselves and looked like they could have got out. He is easily the biggest asset that they've got. A lot of their incomings I have no opinion on at all, because I've never heard a majority of them, and they have lost a lot of players again. I have got him in playoffs. To be joined by one of Bristol Rovers, Cambridge, Chesterfield and MK Dons before I get into my top 3, and that side that are going to be finishing in 4th place and in the playoffs is Bristol Rovers for me. Darryl Clark as gaffer, who got sacked at Barnsley last season, but he has had success at Bristol Rovers before by getting promoted out of this league through playoffs. I liked him. I really do. I think he was never given a chance. I do think the long-term vision, as soon as Urian sort of come back as a player manager and then immediately retired, was to pave the way for him to be manager anyway. So I do think he got sold down River in January with what is the worst transfer window in Barnsley's entire history. So I don't actually blame him for anything that happened. I really don't. I never really think he had a chance looking at it now. And they have lost a lot of players. Loads have gone. As you'd expect with relegation anyway, from any division, half your team now goes. There's no loyalty in staying and trying to get promoted when you're reason they got relegated in first place. Everybody just wants to jump ship because they're all convinced they're League One players. Which if you were, you want to get relegated. But the amount of players that he has lost and the wages that they've freed up effectively does just give Darryl Clark a clean slate to do whatever he wants. He's brought Disco with him as well from Barnsley, another good coach, really. He's been at Barnsley forever. I like him. And some of the lads that they brought in are genuinely quite good. That Sparks from Peterborough looks like he's going to be good in League 2, that's for sure. Brad Young, a goalie from Leicester. Josh McEachran from Oxford on a free, good signing. Ryan Howley, some centre mid, some young'un from Coventry. I'll tell you what, if Darryl Clark wants him, I'd be intrigued to see what they can actually do, because he never had a say at Barnsley. He was just working what he were given. At Bristol Rovers, if he's got a hand in bringing in the players that he wants, I expect him to be a success. Not top 3 worthy, but I do think Bristol Rovers look quite good coming into this, and I have got him in 4th, and probably my playoff winners, if I'm being completely honest. I see it being Bristol Rovers, Grimsby probably in playoff final, and Bristol Rovers going up. But my top 3 and getting promoted are obviously Cambridge, Chesterfield and MK Dons. And it is in that order. I'll just put it in now. Cambridge 3rd, Chesterfield 2nd, and MK Dons inevitably my title winners. Cambridge, again, have lost a fair few players, but with Harris in charge, I just back them. I just immediately back them. I think they'll be fine. They've brought in some good players as well. A lot of them from further up in Pyramid, like Zach Bradshaw from Lincoln, Dominic Ball from Leyton Orient. They got Mpanzu from Luton on a free. That is a crazy signing for this division. Again, probably need a striker still, but I think Cambridge will be more than fine. Chesterfield look like easy automatic promotion contenders for me. Very easy. Defensively, solid. Manager, again, one of the strongest assets, but they've got a squad to compete right at top, whereas Crawley aren't. But I think we're looking at 2 of the best managers in the division there. But Chesterfield have actually given there's the tools to succeed. Ryan Sturt from Walsall is brilliant. Dylan McCanday from Blackburn is even better. Some really, really good signings for Chesterfield. I think they look inevitable to be up there. But my title winners, easily, not even close either. Like, some people I think are looking into this a little bit too much with the ego side of things and the players that they're bringing in. MK Dons are cooking up one of the best squads ever for this division, ever. Who have they lost from last season? I know they were shit last year, but who have they lost that means anything to them? No one. They've brought in, just get ready for this, Mendes Lang, probably best player in League 2. Aaron Collins, probably second best player in League 2. Hepburn Murphy from Crawley, I'm going to say one of the other best players in League 2. Will Collar, one of the best players in League 2. Added to a lot of the players that they brought in last season that are still some of the best players in this league that massively underperformed. I completely agree with you. But Lindsay likes to work with underdogs and players that nobody's really heard of. A bunch of misfits, that type of vibe. MK Dons are not that. Bringing in someone like Paul Warren, who's had 4 seasons in League 1 and 2 in his life and have 4 promotions, can clearly manage egos and players that probably think they're way too good for what they are. Hence Derby in the season that they had there. The season before he come in at Derby, they finished 7th and outside at playoffs with some very big names on big wages. He come in, immediately promoted comfortably with players like Urian and James Collins and David McGoldrick, big names for that league. You give him tools to do this. I'm not bothered about the ego side of things. They will challenge for the biggest points record ever in League 2. I am seriously convinced. I don't even know what it is, but I am telling you now, 100 points minimum for MK Dons. I think they will take the piss and win probably most weeks home and away. But that is me. That is me. There's my League 2 prediction for 25-26. I've got Accrington Stanley and Newport getting relegated. A playoffs of Walsall versus Bristol Rovers and Crawley versus Grimsby. I do think it'll be Bristol Rovers, Grimsby in final and Bristol Rovers win. Cambridge in third, Chesterfield second. But my title winners for League 2 are MK Dons. Easy. But that's that. Boys, absolute pleasure. Love you all. Kiss. Make sure you like, subscribe if you do enjoy. And I will see you in a bit for my Championship and Premier League predictions, along with, like, obviously the other stuff that we've got going on here. Goodbye.
Say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us the tits.